UNR, TMCC, and of course the school district. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. In particular, I want to thank you, Kendall, for all that you do and, you know, pushing forward, making sure stuff happens. So anyway, moving forward with this, I'd like to turn over the roll call to Lauren, if you wouldn't mind checking that for us. And thank you so much, Lauren, for doing the secretary stuff, because I definitely spent a chunk of time on it and I really appreciate it.
I was just kidding.
Well, as I told Kendall earlier today, I'm using it as like the analogy of riding a bike. So hopefully as I get more practice with this, it will be seamless. So with roll call, Kendall, real quick, do I only do the ones that you said had RSVP?
For the record, everyone has to be.
Got it. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that first.
Yep,
I was like, wait, is it just
perfect.
all right? Nathan Anderson, not Natha. 2 years later, and I still always do that. She makes fun of me
It's
too.
an easy one. I did it too.
All right, Dave Bianchi.
Here.
All right, Davy Beiersdorf. Not here. Okay, Brent Boynton.
Hi there. I am I'm trying to get phone audio because my speaker on my computer is so quiet that I can't hear.
Well, we can hear you. I think everyone else can, if you want some feedback.
I would just like to be able to hear you.
Got it. All right, Christine Brown.
Here.
I see you. Nice to see you.
I see you.
All right, Melissa Burnham. No, she is not. Joe Klein.
Here.
Awesome. Melissa Dedman. She said she might be in late. Okay. Mariluz Garcia.
I'm here.
All right. Lauren Garfinkel. I'm here. Kendall Inskip.
Present.
Landon Miller.
Here.
Chris Morgan.
Here.
Charles Pacias is not. Okay. Michelle Sanchez Bickley.
Here.
So nice to see you.
Yeah.
Eric Sheets.
Here.
There it is. And last but not least, Jill Tolles.
I'm here. Good to
And
see everybody.
wonderful to see you. All right.
All right, with that, let's see, basically, we're gonna look at adopting the agenda. So first off, are there any changes to the agenda? And if not, then I'd like to hear a motion on adopting that.
Hey, this is Landon Miller. I put out a motion to adopt the agenda.
Great. Do I hear a second?
It's Michelle.
Okay. Oh, who was that? Just so, just to help Lauren, let's clarify that as well. So was that Dave or was that Michelle?
I think it was Dave. I was starting to say it, but he beat me to the punch.
All right. Either way,
Kind of a tie.
all good, but
Good.
all right. Okay, so with that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye, or you can show the little thumbs up button, I think, if you like.
Oh. Aye.
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 Perfect. There you go. Okay, any opposed? All right, hearing none. Any abstaining? Hear none either. So the motion passes unanimously. Lauren or Kendall or anybody, do we have any public comment? Just for information, that public comment can be presented by emailing educationalliance@washoeschools.net, since this is open to the public. And of course, you know, talking to us, we'll make sure we'll find a way to get public comment in there too. So, all right, I don't hear any other public comment. So with that, can I?
I'm monitoring the public comments coming in.
Oh,
Brittany,
yeah, Brittany. Did you see any as well? No?
There is not any at the moment.
Great. All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to item 2.01, which is approval of the minutes of June 22nd, 2020. Are there any changes? And if not, then we'll go ahead and take a motion on that. Anybody wants to make a motion?
This is Dave. I'll move we accept that.
All right, thank you, Dave. All right, and do I hear a second?
Brent,
Second, it's Chris.
Is that Chris?
That's Chris.
All right, thank you, Chris. All right, so all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Hi.
Aye.
Okay, all those voting against, please note that. No, okay, anybody abstaining? Don't hear anybody, so the motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to 2.02, which is the consideration and approval of the 2020 and 2021 bylaws, including update of the number of members to 17 and update on term for directors holding officer positions on the executive board. This is for possible action. I'll go ahead and turn this over to Secretary Lauren.
All right, so Eric just kind of touched on what we're looking for. This is really strange trying to like look at different screens while trying to be secretary. I gotta take some more notes from you, Eric. But yeah, so we're looking to amend the bylaws. So Kendall had said actually we do this annually. So bylaw 1 would be updating the number of directors to 17, as we annually do on Appendix A. And then 2, up for discussion this year is a recommendation from our executive board to add language to allow an extension of terms for officers as long as they hold a position on the executive board. And you can see that. And Kendall had sent these articles out
You want
previously.
me to share it?
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, so you guys can see that. And kind of some of the reasonings for this is succession planning, so that elected exec members can really, dive into their role, especially with Ed Alliance. Yeah. So let me see.
Discussion.
Give me one sec. Now I can't. All right. So the highlighted is the language that we're looking to amend. Kendall, is that the right word for that?
Yes, we
Okay, I just wanted to make
would be amending the bylaws. You got it.
Okay, just want to make sure. So you see highlighted. This is the proposed language for that. Does anyone have any discussion they wanted to include in that?
So I'll jump out there. This is Eric, and we had conversation again in the exec meeting, but again, the idea is basically as a volunteer organization, it takes a little while to jump in and learn some of the executive positions. And right now, you can basically just be comfortable with it, and then you're asked to be on the exec. And this would allow that comfort level to continue forward while somebody's serving. Everything is still elected, so there's definitely still a checks and balance there. But anyway, so I am in favor of this.
So a question, I don't necessarily have an objection, but just to clarify, it looks like you could continue to extend your term without limit if you meet the conditions.
That is my understanding at this point, but it would still be, you would still have to be elected by the board in order for that to occur. So, if somebody objected, obviously, I think it'd become an issue. And that's totally fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
We have our annual elections in June. Usually about in February, March is when I begin to put together that development report and talk to people who have held positions, encourage the rest of the board members who have not been in an executive position to please let me know if you're interested in a position, because we love interest. And so this really allows for those officer positions on exec board to continue, as long as they hold that position. just in the, really just for succession planning, for learning opportunities and so forth. But again, elections are still held once a year to confirm those positions.
All right, so does anybody want to make a motion on this?
It would include this update in the very bottom as well. Let's see.
I don't think I can make motions.
There was just the one update, or were there two?
There's two.
Two, for the number of members as well as the verbiage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I move that we accept, it makes sense to me. So I move we accept these changes on number of members and the ability to extend terms if you're on the exec.
And I'll second.
And that's Lauren, you?
Yeah.
Good thing you know yourself for a second. All right, with that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye or
Aye.
gesture.
Aye.
Hi.
All right, and any opposed? All right, are there any abstaining? Hearing none, the vote passes unanimously. We'll move on to section 2.03, which is an update and discussion on the structure, programs, and working groups of the Education Alliance as they pertain to the 2020-2021 year. Kendall, would you mind filling us in on that?
An update. You should have all received, as board directors, calendar invites for all of the board meetings from Brittany. If you haven't, would you give us a holler? You'd like to get that on your calendar so that you can reserve that Monday of the month. Same with exec. We've sent out calendar invites for exec as well. I think it's just a convenience for you. You can modify your own calendar the way you want, but we do this just as a courtesy. And of course, while we're doing Zoom, I know it's odd because you have two of them on there right now for tonight's meeting, from Brittany and from our Zoom from Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan, for sending that out. While we're doing Zoom, he has a process for doing that, and that's how, and I hope that's worked well for everybody. Please let me know if it hasn't. Okay. Check your board profile page. Also, we've been updating the website quite a bit. Brittany has been very busy with that, as has Bo Oster, our student intern, who is still hanging in there with us, trying to find a new one so he can go on with his medical studies. But the board profile page, it's worth looking at once a year just to make sure we don't have any of your bios. We want to make sure it's up to speed, up to date, it's current, and so forth. And if you have a beautiful picture, we really want one, Eric. I don't know who else we're missing, but it'd be lovely to have your picture on there as well. We also are about to send out the roster. I think it'll probably come from Lauren. It's a big spreadsheet. It's an Excel doc, but on that front tab is your name, your title, your business, your phone numbers, all the information. We try very hard to keep up to speed internally at the office, so that you have, so that we have information that's your preference. Like if you're okay with, us tagging you on social media when we wish you happy birthday, Chris Morgan. And we appreciate that. Just want to make sure all that information is current. And then finally, you're going to love this. The day after this fine board approved an additional 10 hours for our secretary, Sarah announced to me that she is going to a school full time. So we no longer have Sarah, but that doesn't mean the work ends. We're still looking for a 30-hour secretary, grade 18. It's been posted for a couple weeks now, or it just closed actually, didn't it, Brittany, like last week or something? No memes, Landon. And anyway, we have our first interview Thursday. So the good news is we're retaining that. We get to keep the 20 hours that the district is paying for. Thank you. And of course, you all approve the extra 10 hours. We don't have the run. We're not in the middle of the run right now. So I think we can get someone on board pretty quickly. And of course, with the school starting this past week, we know there'll be great interest in the position because things are changing so rapidly. It is only internal at this point, but if we have to, we'll go external as well. So if you have anyone that you know that might be interested, they're welcome to send me their resume, and then I'll direct them to the application process once we open it externally.
Kendall, where do you have this posted on?
So it is on the Washoe County School District webpage under careers. I believe the tab is careers, and it'll say job opportunities. It also has them listed by external and internal. So it is internal at this point, but if we open it, I'll let you know as soon as possible, because I've wanted to actually push it out on our social media, but we have to give folks inside the district an opportunity first. And the reason why, which is good, is because then they can access like Business Plus with our treasurer and work with some of the processes within the district. It's just helpful. And there's great people in the district still that I hope, we find someone really good, internally or externally, doesn't matter, a good fit for us. So thank you for keeping that top of mind as well. I don't have anything else on the board structure. Eric, did you have anything else under our tasks and teams and task forces?
No, honestly, I mean, there's a lot of information occurring, or a lot of changes occurring in information, but I'll hold a little bit and mention a couple things that Debbie told me, but we'll see if she hops on or anything, but I'll do that at the tail end. So
All right.
I have a question, Brittany. I think this is the right time since you brought it up. Just Brittany, on the website.
Yeah.
So to me, like if I pull up the website, and it's because I probably don't like reading, but like my eye gets drawn straight down to where it says Teachers Warehouse, Classroom Speaker, Partners Education. The big words up front just suggest, like, I don't know, like it's warning me or something, and my eye falls down there. And then beyond that, it's just click here to help. That really doesn't stand out more. I just wonder if there's a way that we can make that message that this is something we're really focused on, and really maybe have a real button or something that people can press to take them to the next.
Maybe that classroom speaker box, since that's not currently happening with the limitation of visitors building, we could put it there also.
Yeah,
that's a great point. We've actually discussed that, Chris. Those top 3 boxes on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something to think about.
No, that's a great idea. Thank you
right
for
now.
noticing that.
And
that actually might be a good segue to the next item. Any other discussion on this, first off? With that, I really want to hear about the distance learning laptop drive. So we'll open up 2.04. Kendall, would you mind updating us on that? Because there's amazing stuff happening.
there's some great stuff, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see if I've done it yet. There we go. So I emailed this out to you with your agenda and so forth. We put together a nice report for the executive board, just to kind of touch bases on where we are with this distance learning laptop drive, which we launched April 1st. And Brittany did a great job of compiling a lot of this information. I tweaked it, added some things. It's actually already got some changes on it, but we wanted it to come to you as exec recommended. The top of it, of course, is an executive summary on exactly how we launched the program. Initial data was 16,000 students. Now we are at 11,000 students that either don't have any computer at all, nothing at home besides their phone, or B, they have an unusable device. What we're saying is unusable devices. 1, it didn't work in the spring. 2, there's 3 or more students in the home. Or 3, the parent utilizes the only device in the house for their work. So that's kind of about where we are, the latest data, and I'll kind of run through that a little bit. We launched on April 1, and I'm super stoked to tell you that we have raised to date $275,000, 125, which is amazing. I think that the community stepped up, our donors stepped up. That's 86 donors. So I'm super excited. So these numbers here have already changed. We've also written some grants. We asked NV Energy if they'll reconsider redirecting their Kids in Motion money toward the laptop drive. Same with Renown. Thank you, Michelle, very much. Working with Annie Zucker. We produced a one-page kind of update on the need and asked if they'll consider redirecting, and we have been approved for $7,500 from Renown, which is huge. Thank you very much. That means the world. And we're already buying computers. I just put in an order for 450 computers that are going to be here within 3 to 5 days, or shipped within 3 to 5 days. So distribution has been 435 computers and laptops. That includes new and used. We have a partner in education called the Reno Cigar Lions Club. I think I've mentioned them to you. For 14 years. They have been distributing used laptops and desktops to students in their 8 or so schools. And we asked them, would you please consider helping us distribute new laptops and other laptops to high needs high schools? And you can see the high schools that have received it. And this number here for Galena is happening, I think today or tomorrow. They had to change some dates on that. I want you to stop me at any time if you have any questions. The report includes some of our really standout partners in education. NAFA's not here, but Washoe Education Association was one of the first organizations to step up with a $20,000 gift. Here comes Melissa Dedmond. And they they initially started with, I think, a $2,200 donation. And then after a nice phone call with them and a Zoom with them, their board elected to redirect some funds that were toward their annual summer picnic or get together. And that came to $20,000, which is huge. They did make mention of their run sponsorship as well. So we'll still talk to them about an additional area of support, but right now we're letting them get school off the ground. The Assistance League of Reno Sparks just came through. We got their check. They traditionally give between 30 and 50,000 to the school district teachers for teacher projects in classrooms. And they also take students shopping for under Operation School Bell, shopping for school supplies. And then the teacher project is called Links to Learning. Their board, we made a presentation to them and they announced, gosh, it's been a week, that they have elected to redirect all their funding towards the laptop drive to the tune of $144,720. So we were successful in persuading them to do that. We're going to do a fabulous press release here soon on that, probably at a sticker party, because Assistant League really wants to put a little sticker on every one of those laptops that says donated by Assistance League. And so we'll probably get some press generated around that. Backing up just slightly, the first phase of our laptop drive was purely crisis mode, what I call crisis phase. We did everything we could to raise money. We worked with Best Buy to purchase the computers and get them right into the hands of students. So they were given to students. Reno Cigar Lions Club collected used ones, ITS Logistics, the place to collect them. They're still collecting used. I don't know if you all saw the story on 2 News the other day, which Landon pointed out to me, thank you. There was an anonymous donor who saw that story and challenged the community to match his gift, or maybe it's a woman, $4,300. And we just got that gift from 2 News too. So we've had some great press and coverage. And I want to thank Landon for kind of helping us get this thing off the ground, because you really took some great video and did a really wonderful story with the media, which was our launch. It allowed us to get the word out really well on our platforms and so forth with the news. So it's super exciting. So now we're going into the back to school phase. And the back to school phase looks a little bit different. We are purchasing laptops that are recommended by the school district, whatever they need, and they will become the property of the school district. It is inventory of the school district. They'll tag them, load them with software, and issue them through the schools because the schools know the highest need students in each of their schools, which is different than just handing kiddos laptops, which we're going to keep doing that with the used stuff. But the new laptops that we purchase now will go through the district, and I would really like it if you would all consider maybe next month we invite the new chief information officer from this district. His name is Chris Turner. He is new. He loves the partners in education. He comes from Michigan, but I think he lived out west for a while. Had a great meeting with him and the Reno Cigar Lions Club this morning. He just gets what we do. He loves the idea of partners in education and the fact that we're kind of the hub for partners and the business and community and the school district. So that's cool. I don't know if I sent it out to you, but on Facebook, Coop Sandoval, who is the son of Annie Zucker, he has a mask that he's designed, and $5 of every mask that he sells will also come towards computers. And I think he's 10 or 11, right, Michelle? We've been the clearinghouse for lots of calls. Back to school phase. Oh, this is super exciting. We have a brand new webpage dedicated to the distance learning laptop drive. I hope you can see it. It's wonderful. In fact, I should bring it up if I can. It is designed by Brittany and Bo, who is our web intern. He's amazing. Both these guys did a lot of work on this web page, and I'm just thrilled about it. I see those.
Yeah, I checked. It is great. That webpage looks really good.
Yeah, I just am thrilled about it, and it has the donate now, this wonderful graphic here to keep track. Of course, we need to add to that now, and then the scrolling. The cool part is the scrolling logos of, and that looks a little bit small. We should probably make that one bigger. But the scrolling logos of donors, just like we do on our run page. There's also information about the kinds of used stuff we accept, and a lot of questions. We fielded hundreds and hundreds of emails and phone calls about, do you erase the data? So that's all here. And then also we've fielded hundreds and hundreds of phone calls from parents, teachers, counselors, children who want to request a laptop. And now there's a proper request form here through the district, which is super cool. And then a map to where you can drop it off at ITS Logistics on Vista. Now watch, you're gonna love this. I think that's the coolest thing ever. Where you roll over the picture of the student and it says, thank you. So that's that. What did I miss? Let's see. Some data, some statistics, what we're working on. We have the HP is the new one. The district has written grants to receive, and unfortunately, some of the grants that they've written, one of the grants, the delivery for the laptops is not till October 9th. Well, through my contact, we were able to get it within the, shipped within the next week, which is super cool. A lot of people have questions about Wi-Fi and connectivity, of course, because a laptop is just a paperweight if you don't have Wi-Fi or internet. The data that was collected on June 25th by teachers and principals was that there were 5,000 households without it. The district, using grants, has ordered, this should be 3,000. This number should be 3,000. So 6,000 hotspots that they'll have for a year with data, with the ability to get online. And then also they've ordered these wonderful bus units. Well, they're mobile units. I guess they could go in any vehicle and drive them to a neighborhood in need of Wi-Fi. There's a 300 square foot reach and 60 people can log on to it, which is pretty cool. So that brings us to the remaining critical need. If you do the math here, that's about 4,000, leaves another 7,000. Of course, they're prioritizing high school and middle because they're on a hybrid model. They're 2 days at school, 3 days at home. and then the next week flipping flop. We have met with the folks who successfully campaigned for WC1 for capital projects, the SOS. Abby Whitaker and several other people reached out and said, hey, we want to be part of this. We want to help with the need that's happening with the digital divide. They've been putting out some great press release. In fact, I just got a text from Abby. It was featured in Northern Nevada Business Weekly. I don't know if you all saw that. Yeah, and at this point, we just have a list of some of our Run for Education sponsors. I'm pleased to say, like Renown, many of them have just agreed to redirect their either Run sponsorship or their Kids in Motion support to the laptop drive. Atlantis, Guild Mortgage, of course, WEA, but we still have a list of others that we need help contacting. And I would love to have your help with that. Otherwise, we just stay optimistic and flexible.
That's awesome, Kendall. A couple things I'll add on to that. So as you just mentioned, you need assistance. You know, the school district needs assistance talking to the entities that we normally partner in education with. So what I'm going to do is send out the list to the board. And if you guys don't mind picking two companies, two entities that you could talk to for us. The good news is, you know, a lot of these companies did have some budget for the Run, for instance, this year, and we're trying to make sure that we keep our foot in the door. We show how we're supporting education, and this is obviously a big need. It's the dichotomy between kids that have and those that have not is definitely showing itself. So if we want to raise the bar for everybody, we got to be able to bring students in so that they can continue learning in this interesting, difficult environment with COVID. So anyway, please look for that. In the same manner, every fall we do fun, you know, we look for the 100% giving from our board. So if you can consider going ahead and donating to Education Alliance, we can put it towards the laptop drive. We could also put it towards, you know, support for all the other things we do. That's up to you, but this is a great opportunity and I think it meshes quite well. So I know I'll be putting some in for that. So I ask that you guys consider that as well. And again, if we are 100% giving board, it shows that we're putting our money where our mouth is, you know. So I will also mention something that Debbie said. I talked to her about this, and in regards to, you know, the Run for Education and what the school district really needs from us this year. And basically she said they need exactly this. This is the laptop drive is exactly what they're looking for. So we're having a kind of a super force task committee. Well, let's see, what do we call it? Task force.
Special forces or something.
Yeah, superhero.
Special task force.
Yes.
And basically we're trying to figure out how we can do something to support this. I know I think we have a call tomorrow, but it looks like in talking with Debbie, maybe and I'll bring this up, maybe we push forward, we support Kendall and everybody doing a great job with this right now. And there's going to be a point where in a couple months where we're going to have to reopen some connections or something. And maybe that's the time we look at doing something, you know? So anyway, just a heads up, but Debbie said that this is exactly what the school district needs right now. I also want to mention, Kendall.
No, I just wanted to tag on that. It is our mission still to help students succeed. I mean, that is what our mission is, and this is right aligned with that. And that's all I wanted to say, that's part of our mission. So it's aligned with everything that we're doing with this laptop drive. And of course, we're lucky because we can move a little quicker sometimes than the district can.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've mentioned this to y'all, and I should put this in my bio, but one thing I always thought would be absolutely awesome is, how football is supported in Texas and the whole town comes out and supports, the school through football. I'd love to see us as a community be able to do that for our schools just in general, and right now everybody's talking about schools. So this is a great opportunity for us to build that support. And I think the laptop drive is really cut into a direct need that's there. So anyway, again, great job, Kendall.
Any questions?
Yeah,
I actually have a question for Jill, if I could. Jill, I know you and your colleagues in the legislature are pretty much focused on how do you provide essential services with a rapidly shrinking budget. So I appreciate that primarily. But has there been any discussion about the role of the state in helping support distance learning, either in the short or long term at this point? And is there anything you can say?
Yeah, absolutely. So the discussion at the end of the first special session was that we added an amendment to the budget bill to specifically direct CARES Act funding to the tune of setting aside 50 million specifically for K through 12 education, and a good portion of that to help with distance learning. And in fact, I believe it's next Friday, we'll be having our first interim finance committee subcommittee dedicated to looking at how to allocate those funds. And if you'd like, I can send the link. It's either next Friday or the Friday after. Let's see, I can tell you just really quickly, if you don't mind. Holding on one second.
Please, yeah.
Oh, it's actually going to be September 11th at 10 a.m. So it might be a really good time to line up some public comment. We always do public comment at the beginning of those meetings, so you could call in and talk about how the community has come forward to provide, but that's not going to be sufficient to meet that digital divide gap and the areas where we still specific statistics in Washoe County of how many students we have that still don't have access to those resources is always really helpful in that discussion. And it's particularly helpful if you can get those statistics like the Friday before, which would be the Friday before Labor Day weekend, that's September 4th, to Chair Jason Fryer is the chair of that subcommittee, our speaker in the assembly. And if you also send it to me, I can make sure that I follow up with him directly to say, this is a priority issue. And maybe we can work with our counterparts in the other districts to do the same. Because if we have some really good statistics and data to show where the gap still is, that will help direct the conversation to crystallize what's needed and how we can pull into that 50 million.
Great. Yeah, that's good news. That's great news. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
One other comment probably to you, Joe, yeah, just P16, as we talk about distance learning, had an interesting conversation with a very close friend of mine who teaches in the North Valleys. And she just talked about the opportunity for distance learning to help those kids that are most disruptive to the schools. And so as we just talk about what we might suggest to the school districts to make them better, is there something narrative? She said there are probably 50 kids that are most disruptive and destructive to the school. And potentially, is there a way that the school district can create programs to support those kids distantly and really make the educations of those other kids that much better? Probably something we would want to do some research around, but it's we have a real opportunity here to explore how this new world might help us.
So just to clarify that, in the realm of distant learning, these disruptive kids have unusual ability to really monkey wrench the learning that's going on.
No, just the opposite. As you bring kids back to campus, rather than, because we have to teach those kids still, but rather than forcing them to come back to campus, allow them to do distance learning so that they're able to pursue their education off campus and not be disruptive to other kids that are on campus.
Chris, is that a teacher? I got logged off for some reason, so I didn't hear the beginning. The person that brought this concern to you, is that a teacher or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think she thinks of it more as an opportunity than a concern. But yeah, she's a teacher in the North Valleys.
Okay,
How-
because I know that there are some things in place already for kids who are having challenges. A couple of things. I've seen a grant that has not been submitted yet, so this is not confirmed, that has intervention specialists, people who, teachers who help kids that are struggling. And then also each teacher and principal are required to report up to their area superintendents on any issues. So certainly there's a method and opportunity for her to make suggestions up the pipeline also. How did you see us having some impact on that, or was that just a concern that you wanted to bring forward?
No, I was mentioning to Joe, I think it's a topic potentially for P16 is in our role to suggest how the school district might be better. That's one example in this new world with distance learning. Maybe that's something that can be used going forward to help these campuses. And there's probably a lot more where that's coming from too. But
perfect. And I think it's good to have Debbie, kind of address that, because there's a lot of different things that are happening. Because you're right, there's all kinds of those sorts of challenges and opportunities happening right now. So,
and if I may jump in, if it's okay, another pertinent meeting that's coming up is this Wednesday. The Interim Education Committee is going to be meeting again. And I believe that starts at 9 a.m. And again, I can forward these agenda links to you. But agenda item number 25 is to examine a report on AB 168 and AB 490 that was passed at the last legislative session, specifically taking a look at restorative practices and discipline. And so the new ways of approaching discipline beyond just punitive discipline, but restorative practices. So how do we essentially recognize when a student is being disruptive, how to wrap around them and restore them to the educational environment instead of just, expelling them or suspending them. And I would just, if you'd like to watch that, it might be a good discussion and a good chance for you to formulate some questions and some additional public comment. And I'm happy again to forward that information to, to the board.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, please do. This is Eric. I'm going to tag on to that too. I think the more that we can watch these different hearings and support the process, the better it's going to be. And especially because we show we're caring anyway, makes sense that we put the voice to the concern. And anyway, so thank you, Jill, for telling us about that. And maybe we can find somewhere to post the various meetings on, possibly even the website or something. I'll talk with you guys about that. But anyway, in the same manner, tomorrow, the trustee board meeting is occurring actually down at DeMonte Ranch High School, and they'll be doing a presentation on technology, for instance, about 5 to 5:30-ish or so. So if anybody's able to zoom in or literally zoom in, you're welcome to do either. But I know I'm going to try to attend that. But all this, I think, is critical. And the last thing I'll throw in there, Kendall said this, these are all opportunities. This is difficult times, but it also kind of allows the breakout of the bureaucratic system. We can start brainstorming, and this is where really the talent of all of our minds comes together, where we can support new concepts. So anyway, I definitely applaud everybody's efforts, and I encourage them to be more involved if they're at all interested.
I would definitely encourage you to email me if you have other thoughts, other people, other companies that you think we might be able to approach. If you can introduce me or give me a phone number, I'll make a cold call. I'll drop your name. Whatever your comfort zone is for that, I'd be grateful. I have to say that Washoe County just donated 104 desktops used, because of course a lot of our businesses have had time to replace the equipment that was, when they were in crisis mode, they were using. But I know there's a lot of businesses out there, Christine, maybe we should sit down and talk about, you know, is there some that are getting rid of, I just want to make sure these companies know that there is a use and another life for their used stuff as they begin to get in new laptops and computers, now that we've had time to do that, you know, in different companies as they've recognized that remote work is got to happen.
Have you talked to like Best Buy, Kendall, yet? Like, I think they accept old used technology. Like, are they getting an inventory of this stuff? And or waste management, like, I don't know that they accept this sort of stuff. Those may be two other places that this stuff may find it.
There's Keep Chucking Meadows Beautiful, right? Dave has a great directory that we're actually in for Teachers Warehouse. And I'm trying to think, I think the companies that accept used laptops and desktops are already refurbishing them for their high needs clients. And I think it's, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the organization that does that, but it's another nonprofit. Best Buy is our contact where we've been buying computers since April 1. And I think I just need to put that out in the world. But ironically, in the last 3 months, used stuff dried up, obviously, because all of a sudden there's a need for it, you know. But now that there's time, I think the time is really ripe to ask companies to send their used stuff our way.
Right, and there I have a whole list of companies, and Kendall, we can talk about that in whatever capacity. A whole list of companies not only who are reconfiguring and who could have the capacity to make donations of their existing equipment, but also a handful of companies who have already kind of made their footprint in the community in various capacities to be generous, to respond to needs, and who have an appetite to pitch in. So yeah, I will, if it's easier, I'll just send you an email with all the folks I'm thinking about, and we'll go from there.
That'd be great, because I think there's twofold. I appreciated Anne and the Chamber's partnership in the newsletter, you know, every, whatever the minute is, putting information in there, but maybe there's some targeted companies that maybe you'll allow me to introduce and give them the information and share that information directly. Yep. That's a possibility.
It is. A thought just came to my mind as well. Hasn't anyone talked about reaching out to homeowners associations and having a whole homeowners association drive? Because if you think about how you could really reach out into a community and get something out in a newsletter or an email really easily to a broad audience, that a lot of people are doing their spring cleaning and or fall cleaning at this point or what have you, and have that question about where do I take this? And maybe if you have them do a dedicated drive right there at their homeowners association office over a week's period of time, we'll offer to come and pick it up. So it makes it really convenient for them. And it would be just a great way to reach a whole new audience.
I like that idea. I actually posted it in my next door, if you can believe it, my neighborhood. But yeah, because of course, and now people have had a chance to get a new one if they needed to, you know, and so forth. So I think that's a dynamite idea, dynamite. And I've had realtors reach out to me. Dixon reached out and a couple of other ones. And they're looking through their office. It hasn't been the homeowners, and also the Nevada State Apartment Association. They haven't put it out yet, but I've asked them if they'll consider sending it out to their members, which are all those apartments, you know, the larger townhouses and apartments and so forth. But the developers, or the homeowners association is a dynamite idea.
I was going to also just suggest, and maybe we're already doing this through some of the businesses, if you're talking to Ann and others from the chamber, but maybe there's a campaign too on businesses besides just them donating or the monies, is talking about how they reach out to their employees themselves and say, how are we helping those employees in need? So that's not on the district, but the employers take a piece of that. So for example, I was trying to see if I had foundation monies, which we've had such generous donations in the community for healthcare workers in general, but could I earmark some of those funds for employees that either don't have Wi-Fi in their areas, or they don't have laptops for their kids, or they need tutoring services, things like that, that we could do as a punch list for employers that we try to get to our employees. So it's not on the district, but employers take a piece of this. So just a thought of some of the things that I'm looking at.
I love that, because then you're taking care of your own as your business, it's your business.
Correct. It's kind of a win-win for businesses. So if we get EDON or chamber or somebody, I'm sure employers are already doing that stuff, but I'm thinking that, you're now taking care of not just your community, but your own families within your own employees. So just something else to think about.
That's a great point. Actually, it reminds me, I think Washoe County is doing something similar, where if you are an employee of Washoe and you don't have a laptop or something like that, and you have kids in the district, they'll get you one. So
cool.
I think if employers in general, had a punch list that we could put together for them, that's a great idea. Because honestly, if they're worried about their kids and what's happening there, they're not able to work either. So kind of helps everybody.
Problem.
Well, and then the other thing that I was on a call last week with a bunch of CHROs across the country for healthcare, and they were talking about some unique things they're doing because of just the whole point of parents need space to be able to now work from home or be at work. And so they're actually taking some of the areas that were remote, where remote workers were, and repurposing them that already kind of have Wi-Fi and they have places for kids to land, that middle and high kids could maybe come into those spaces and have a different work study area for after school, or where they come on their virtual days if they don't have it. So I'm trying to explore some of that too, if we have a need for our staff, but maybe those are other things that we can think of, and maybe they're more on a community basis. A couple of the healthcare organizations, CHROs, also took kids from the university on their off days, and it's not a daycare, and we're very clear about that, but it's like a supervised kind of kids from the university coming in to just kind of oversee, and they're providing lunch and snacks for the kids. So just trying to think of different ways, but maybe those are other things we can rally around.
Excellent. All right. So again, everybody, please be on the lookout for that list that we'll send out, and please take a few names on there, and we'll divide and conquer. And the more information we can get out to the community, the more we can raise, and everybody wins. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much. What were you saying, Kendall?
No idea on who to go to is crazy. Any ideas you got?
Great. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to item 2.05, which I'll hand over to Joe for P16 Advocacy Council. Joe, you guys have been working a ton. I know, what was it, Friday night? You guys did what, 5.5 hours?
Might have been 6, actually.
Okay. And that was with the day before having a couple hours as well.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm speaking on behalf of Melissa Burnham, who's the official P16 liaison for this semester, but she's for this year, but she's teaching today. So I will give the report in her stead. So if you looked at the minutes, you will see that P16 made a commitment last spring to complete this research project, this research paper that we've been working on for probably a year in some form. And indeed, we have met that commitment and pushed hard to do that. I want to list some names here of people working on that. 2 critical names, Jocelyn Canfield and Aaron Higgs, were 2 interns who are working on this project during the spring semester, and Aaron continued over the summer. Erica Cole-Gillette is one of our community volunteers on P16. She was instrumental. And Eric is one of the people on the team that completed this paper. And so we got that done last week. We are having a P16 meeting on Wednesday, and the paper is in their hands right now for review. Some of you are participants in P16, so you have it too. And that meeting will focus primarily on refining the recommendations in the paper. You may recall that this is about looking at how Washoe and the state of Nevada compares to other districts across the country. The principal finding is that parent education is a real predictor of how well our students do. And Nevada is at the bottom of all the states in terms of the level of parent education. And it's not just a Nevada problem, it's also a Washoe problem. And our principal, just sort of take home, our principal recommendation centers around what we think is a highly meritorious existing parent university program that Washoe already has, and we have the opportunity perhaps to enhance the venues, the modes of dissemination that parent university uses, and enhance perhaps the content of that as well. So that is one of our principal recommendations, but some of the other recommendations touch on things we've discussed here today, including perhaps some of the changes due to COVID might persist into the post-COVID era in terms of supports that are in students' homes. So those are the things that we'll be discussing on Wednesday at the P16 meeting at 4 o'clock, Zoom meeting. After that, the work product will go to exec for their determination of whether it gets presented, I hope, to the board at our next meeting for us as a board to determine what happens with this paper, these recommendations. Is it something that becomes an official white paper of the Ed Alliance, or is it more of an internal set of recommendations for the district? So that's for us as a board to determine after exec looks at our work product.
Hey, well, thank you so much, Joe. You're awesome with all the work that you've done. I know it's countless hours. So anyway, yeah, I guess you said any questions.
The work is truly valuable to the district too, and I've heard that, and it's great to have such an active member of the district and members of the district on P16 to help kind of guide, so that we don't duplicate efforts or whatever. And this is huge. And I know that the parent university folks have also been very interactive with the whole thought of, the opportunities that this paper may recommend for their efforts. And so I think it's great moving it through. Everyone's invited to P16 on Wednesday. If you want a Zoom link, we can send it out for your input or just to read it. Again, there's channels it goes through, but Joe, I just commend you and Eric and Chris, Melissa, and the interns, brilliant work. And I'm excited for it to kind of be tweaked through to all of us on this board.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. And just an addition to that, basically with the paper being able to be wrapped up potentially here, hopefully with approval by the board, it kind of leads into the next thing that Debbie also brought up, and the school district's going to be looking at. There's been a few words, but some people are saying a profile of a graduate or a portrait of a graduate or a picture of a graduate, whatever they land on. I heard picture latest from Debbie, but at any rate, basically the idea is we can look at the picture of the student, for instance, as they graduate from level to level, but also how that looks going into the workforce and what the workforce needs, what the preferred picture of that student is, and then also going to TMCC, UNR, so on. So it ends up wrapping itself around in a full cycle, which interestingly enough, I think you also have to look at a picture of a parent as well, or a guardian. And that kind of goes to the parent university part. So it really makes sense. And with these quantitative numbers backing this up, I think it gives us merit in order to be able to have some potential policy discussion. So, Jill, I know you guys are talking about this a ton, and anyway, one of the next steps is basically see how we can take this information and be able to apply it to help you, Jill, or whoever, we want to go with next on this. So it's just giving you guys a foreshadowing of where we can head with this. So I am excited about the board looking at this and looking at those recommendations. And some of them don't necessarily cost money. There's one that Joe found in there where basically some students, as we're finding parents right now, they're trying to make space in their own homes where they can do their work, and they need a spot to throw open their computer and, have some quiet time. Well, students need the same exact thing when they're doing their homework or they're studying. So even if a family were to separate or, parcel out a half an hour a night of some quiet time and, in the house, that doesn't necessarily cost anybody money, but it can support the whole education process. So anyway, thank you so much, Joe, for all you're doing with that. Unless there's
small thing, Eric, I'm sorry, just as an update, because I think we talk about things in the exec and I want to bring it forward to the full board. The district is looking at, as you know, their strategic plan ends this year, as does Ed Alliance's, but the district is looking at a bridge strategic plan during this odd is not the right word for it, but crazy world that we're in right now with these conditions that the school district is operating under. So the bridge strategic plan is one that we're going to also look at and watch the process and be involved in the process. I know we'll be reaching out to you, and Debbie will be reaching out to you to participate in that strategic planning process for the district. And that will help us guide us as well in our strategic planning.
So to add on to that, I did invite Debbie to participate in our upcoming September P16 meeting to talk about the profile and the strategic plan. And I guess there's been some slowdown, and she's not quite ready to do that in September, but at an upcoming P16, I hope sometime this fall, we can really learn what their needs are so that P16 can become involved in helping them.
Great to know. Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, Joe, you being there and Melissa Burnham being there on P16 is absolutely critical to have that UNR connection. And in the same manner, having Melissa Dedman with TMCC, basically the hope is using this research paper, using the bridge document and everything going on right now, that we can create our strategic plan to help everybody. But again, it's a foreshadowing. It's trying to make sure all the players that need to be there are in the room. And I think we've got it set up pretty good. So expect that in the next couple months. We'll be going through P16 through exec board, and then we'll be coming back to this board. So lots of activity. So, all right. I know everybody's busy. I want to respect the time of that. So with that, I'll go ahead and move to item 3, closing items, unless anybody has anything to add otherwise. 3.01 is announcement of next meeting. It is scheduled for September 28th, 2020 at 4 p.m. The location is still to be determined based on the criteria we're dealing with and otherwise. So anyway, just keep your ears open. We'll figure out what we need to do based on that. I'll move to 3.02, public comment. Have we had any more public comment or any, Brittany?
None at this time.
Okay, thank you. Again, just for a record, that can be submitted through Education Alliance at washoschools.net. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for their time. There's been so much activity, so much craziness out there with fires and COVID and everything else. And really everybody's pulling a large weight there that is what we need to do as a community. So you guys are doing amazing things, and please keep on trucking on.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, so, all right, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Again,